Prochazka submission, 5th round. Let's talk about how we got there, man. And in the beginning, Jiri did Jiri things, right? He walked forward. He did the madman, unorthodox, samurai, weird punches from crazy angles. But Glover Teixeira did exactly what Glover Teixeira does, which is what I told you he would do, which is what everybody knew. Glover Teixeira is going to pick up on that single, drop you on your butt, and you're going to be in for a wild ride. Now, how impressed were you with the scrambles of a Jiri Prochazka, the ability to get back to his feet time and time and time again, the ability to really give Glover those problems in the grappling realm that a lot of other fighters aren't able to give him?
I was shocked, man, because I didn't think Jiri had that kind of ground game skills to be able to do something like that with a technician like Glover. And sure, Glover was still getting the better of the advantages, but man, like you said, Jiri was popping up. He was scrambling. He was rolling and getting out of the things he needed to get out of. Very impressive for Jiri Prochazka, man. And even to the point of Glover, as much as I knew he was going to be taking Jiri down, controlling the fight, kind of imposing his will, I think he was most impressive in the stand-up. It was either round 3 or round 4, somewhere in there, where Glover started letting the hands go, man, and he really started tagging up Jiri, bloodying him up, getting him dazed a little bit. The samurai move to drunken master kung fu after that for a little bit. Very impressive fight from both of these guys, man. Which were you more impressed by? The Glover when he was landing the heavy bombs, or Jiri, like you said, getting up from the bottom or getting out of the control?
I thought Jiri was very impressive, but I thought that this performance was very reminiscent to Glover Teixeira versus Anthony Smith, the fight that I kept talking about before this fight, right? And it felt like it was the same thing. So I was impressed by Glover because this is an old man. Dude's 42 years old, takes him into round 4, the deep waters, and he's beating him up. He's literally beating Jiri up where Yuri's not even... At one point, Jiri literally did this. For folks who are watching, he just put his face out and no hands and just like, just hit me. Like, I don't care. Like, I'll just eat the shots. And he ate the shots. And he was getting rocked and stumbled. And he was falling all over the cage. And then, he just stays there. And what's interesting is this was a new revelation. I was watching his post-fight presser, and he was saying that more or less when he was eating ground and pound shots where Glover Teixeira full mounted him multiple times, right? Just raining down shots, that he was talking to him being like, nice, but still nothing. You know what I mean? Still, that doesn't affect me. And it's just like, bro, like I said, this dude is still, even though he doesn't have that ungodly power that everybody was talking about, I don't believe personally, he still is somewhat of a mythical figure. So the question becomes this, AJ, do we see this fight again? Now, merit-wise, let's talk merit before we talk about politics. Merit-wise, Glover Teixeira came 30 seconds away from retaining his title, from beating the boogeyman of the division, from beating the young dude who's coming in, who has finished, like 90% of all of his opponents, knocks everybody out. And it didn't seem like one point Glover Teixeira really was in danger aside from a couple of those body shots that took that gas tank away from him. He never looked like he was on stilts from eating a big shot on the jaw. So merit-wise, is this deserved?
100%. 100%, man. If it doesn't get ran back, it's almost a travesty, Like it needs, especially maybe because Glover's a little old, and we were talking about this, and the mics are cold. I know Jan's in the work, but I think it's well-deserved rematch right here, man.
Okay, politics-wise, does Teixeira get the immediate rematch? I'm not talking about Prochazka defends once and then Glover then gets to build his way back. No. Champion. Yes, you didn't have a run. You didn't have a reign, right? But you came the closest to beating Jiri than anybody has in recent history. I'm not talking to UFC. I'm talking about his career, right? So politics-wise, does Dana say, all right, Teixeira, you're going to stick around, you're not going to retire? We'll give you another shot.
That's another I hope so, Derek. But, hopes can only get you so far because I definitely think the politics-wise, they're going to look to keep the division rolling, keep it going, keep everything moving, man. And I know that they put Jan they planted him in the audience for a reason. So I know they're working something kind of get that going. I assume, and this is just all speculation, but I assume the UFC sees a longer, more longevity with Jan Blachowicz and Jiri and these younger guys coming up, where they know Glover, he's a banger, man. He's an old school vet. He's a dog. But at the same point, how long can the dog stay on top? He's going to, I would imagine, be more relegated to that Andrei Arlovsky type fights where he's still here. He's still getting it done. We're still shocked that old man's just whipping ass, but I don't really see him at the top. And I think that's kind of more the narrative the UFC is going for. But like I said, I hope not, because I think he does deserve the the rematch. What do you think? You feel the same, or you see something different?
Well, I'll just say this, man. I think that there's going to be fan demand for wanting to see this rematch. Like, literally, the fans want to see it, man. This was a great fight. This was fight of the night here. This was an instant classic. So when you create an instant classic, it only makes sense to run it back. Now, oftentimes, the sequel isn't as good as the original, but I think that the Joanna Whaley #2 kind of proved that wrong in this one, man. It was almost a continuation of their first fight. So I would like to see this again, because if Jiri Prochazka can take the belt from Glover, one of the most well-rounded fighters in the division, one of the best well-rounded champions in the division post John Jones. All right. And you beat him again, and you beat him handedly. Okay, now you're the real deal, brother. So 2 questions before we move on to the prop recap and all that. So Jiri Prochazka, do you see him being a multiple-time reigning champion, the next John Jones of the light heavyweight division?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We have been praising him for a long time. Yep.
Okay, enough said, man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm sold yet, given that the path to victory against Jiri has now become very clear. Just take him down and kind of hold him there for a little bit and hope for dear life that he doesn't get up and knock your head off your shoulders. You know what I'm saying? But that is a big mitigating threat right there, is that you just take him down and you nullify a lot of that offense. Now, the second question becomes this, man. At the end of the day, Jiri Prochazka, he is this anomaly of a fighter, right? But I'm just curious right now if his fight style is going to lead to his detriment ultimately, man. He looked like yeah, you pulled out the Hail Mary submission round 5. But come round 4 and 5, he looked like a dead man walking, bro. You know what I mean? It did not look good. The body language was very, very poor. The only thing keeping him into it was the Rose Namajunas-esque. He was in his corner talking about, I'm going to beat him. I'm going to beat him. Like, he was just doing mantras, man, self-talk, all that. So do you think that his fight style will inevitably lead to his downfall?
Man, I don't know. I'm not so sold on that one, specifically because his mindset is so good and so focused and so Bushido-esque, if you'll excuse the pun. That I think he's gonna stay in, man. I think his game will get better. He'll avoid a little bit more of the damage, and I think we're gonna see a kind of a turn for Jiri where he starts to realize that he needs to fight a little bit smarter. Because you're right, if he starts fighting like he did on round 4, where he's just sticking the chin out, saying, "I'm gonna eat whatever you throw at me," it's not gonna be the longest chin length Jiri might have. But I think getting a little bit, more weathered, more developed, working on that ground game, being the guy who's giving the punishment instead of receiving it. Yeah. I think it'll start to change a little bit. So I don't know if he'll stick around with the same fight style, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, brother. I will say Jiri Prochazka did hit on a minus 2,500 submission prop, which is just crazy because it's the last thing that you would possibly expect. That minus 155 TKO prop looked a lot better, right? Even looking at the plus 675 decision prop for him, but he landed on the plus 2,500. Man, if you hit on that, kudos to you, man. You're better than me. You're better than us right there. I will say that. The last thing that I have on this fight before we move on, man, because I know this is a little long-winded, and I want to keep this one very short, sweet, and concise. So just give me a quick little something on this one. You're Glover Teixeira. You're going home at night. What are you saying in your head knowing that you quit with 30 seconds left of defending your belt? I'm not going to say you quit, even though that's what I just said. But I will say that when you're getting submitted, you're tired. It's literally a war of wills. This is a war of attrition right here. And you quit, man. You just didn't. He beat you to the punch, got his hand under your neck, and just squeezed on you. 30 seconds left. There's those times I've talked to you about, man, where I tap in jiu-jitsu, where I'll tap and there's 3 seconds left on the clock, and I'm just so upset with myself. And this is just in training. This is a championship title match. So keep it short and sweet and concise. But how are you feeling if you're Glover Teixeira right now?
Man, remorseful, I guess is the best word. Upset with yourself, but at the same point, you can't be too mad. You know what I'm saying? You can't be too upset. Put on a hell of a fight. You got caught, and I think Glover knows that he's professional enough to keep it going. Like he said, he looked good. He's back again. So I don't think he's going to be too hard on himself. But I'm sure there's a little bit inside him that's just eating him up.
And I do love that he said at the end, he was all like, oh, man, the weight cut was tough. Yeah, actually, no, I'm bullshitting, man. He hit me with some body shots. He beat up my gas tank, man. All credit to Jiri. That is a true professional. So shout out to Glover. But all hail the new champion, Jiri Prochazka.